The Retroid Pocket 3 is up for pre-order, and it is without a shadow of a doubt the device to beat for 2022. However, there is something I want you to consider before you buy. For the same price, when you include shipping, you could get the ANBERNIC RG552. Now I know you're probably going to say Retro Dodo told us that we should categorically not buy that device, and I kind of disagree, and here's why. It's actually just one main reason, and that is the screen. The RG552 has a massive retro gaming friendly screen. In gaming, in retro gaming, when you play around with RetroArch and you play around with the video settings, you'll see a setting called integer scaling. On this MiU Mini, I have a Game Boy game playing, and I just set it to integer scaling thinking about this video I'm about to make. What it does is it sets a pixel by pixel match to the screen that you're playing it on, and so it doesn't always stretch it to the edges of the screen. So there's a slight border on the top and the bottom. What it does is it allows you to have a true to life, a true to original form image as it was on the original device, but then on a much better display. And so it just makes the gaming experience really enjoyable. I've come to appreciate integer scaling. Now the RG552 allows you to integer scale almost to the extremities of the screen for every different type of platform that you play it on. PSP stretches to the edges with I think a slight border on the top and the bottom, but all your 4x3 games, I think almost all of them stretch to the edges of the screen, so you get the maximum viewing angle of that screen at integer scaling. Now with most of these games, like this RG350M, it's got a perfect aspect ratio for retro gaming. However, if you use integer scaling, it doesn't go to the edges of the screen. It actually does a 2x, so 2 times image, but that 2 times at integer scaling won't stretch to the edges of the screen, whereas on the RG552 it does. And on the Retro Pocket 3, because resolution is 1334 by 740, which is almost equivalent to our normal cinematic screen. So it's a landscape screen. It's not going to do integer scaling firstly, and it's not going to be ideal for 4x3 screens, which is most of your retro games. So that, in a long way around, is just to explain to you that if you are a purist in retro gaming, the RG552 is definitely something to consider, especially when you consider that a lot of these devices include shipping. On the ANBERNIC website, I think the RG552 is still available without shipping costs. It takes a little bit longer, maybe 1 to 2 weeks to get to you, but it's free shipping, so you get that device without the shipping costs included. But most of the other devices, shipping is quite expensive. So the Retro Pocket at goretro.com, your shipping is going to bring the device up to about $199. It's worth looking at. It's worth considering, but I'm going to explain to you the pros and cons of going this route. So let's compare the two devices. The Retroid Pocket 3 is more powerful. The RG552 is famously underpowered. So anything above, it does a lot of Dreamcast and all that, but you know, PSP still struggles a lot. The high-end Dreamcast games still struggle. I think it plays N64 without too many hassles, but as soon as you start trying to push the RG552, it struggles, whereas the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus is going to play almost everything you throw at it, so it is more powerful. Then obviously the screen, the RG552 has that 1920 by 1152 screen, which means it's the normal width of a phone screen or a cinematic screen like your TV screen, but it's higher. So it allows for more width for your 4x3 games to stretch them as far as possible as you can on that lovely display. Whereas the RP3 Plus has a 1334 by 740, which is more akin to our normal like 720 displays or 1080p displays. The RG552 is well made. I think compared to other ANBERNIC devices, people have complained that it's not the best. Whereas the Retroid Pocket 3, their previous devices weren't amazing, whereas the Retroid Pocket 3 and the 3 Plus are now pretty good. And then here's where the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, in my opinion, is one of the main reasons to get it, is the ergonomics. So it's got that power which allows you to stream your games from your PC and play those lovely 3D first-person shooters and all that sort of thing. And it's got the stacked trigger buttons and a nice holding position. And so the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus definitely has excellent ergonomics, whereas I would say the RG552 has average ergonomics because of those shoulder buttons. The shoulder buttons are pretty much the same as the RG350M, and it's fine for a small game where you're playing 60 and 32-bit games, but as soon as you go to, higher end games, those shoulder buttons aren't great. But then again, the RG552 is a little bit underpowered, pros and cons. And then here's where the big deal breakers come for me. The power, I'm not a big worrier about that. It's not a concern to me as much as it doesn't have Bluetooth and it only has Wi-Fi 2.4 gigahertz. Whereas the RP3 Plus has Wi-Fi 5. Now Wi-Fi 5, what it does is it has 2.4 gigahertz plus 5 gigahertz. So wherever you are, it's going to be able to choose between those bandwidths and be able to use the maximum speed available to you from the router. So that's really nice. And it has dual band Bluetooth. So some of these devices come with just regular Bluetooth that can connect to a controller, but no audio Bluetooth. And for me, I've always wanted a device where I can connect my Bluetooth headphones. And so it does audio Bluetooth, and you can connect a Bluetooth controller to the RP3 Plus. And then here's the big plus for the ANBERNIC device. It is available now. The Retroid Pocket 3 is up for pre-order. You might get it in the next month or two if you pre-order it now, and you might have already missed the boat when you watch this video. And so you might get the next shipment. That could be anything from 4 months to 6 months from now. You just don't know. Maybe it's sooner, but you don't know. If you are wanting to buy something for Christmas and you watch this video and you are happy with the downfalls of the RG552, it might be a lovely device for you to get. Now, ways around the shortcomings of the RG552 is there is a hack to solder a Wi-Fi 5 and dual Bluetooth chip into the RG552. Now, when you're spending $199 on a device, do you really want to be soldering things into it? I don't think so. But if you are that sort of a person and you enjoy those sort of hobbies, that's a workaround. So for me, it is about who you are in the spectrum of gaming. I don't worry too much about the power. Anything above PS1 is a bonus for me. I do feel like the lack of Bluetooth is a problem and it would bother me, but that screen, that large screen, I really want a nice large screen device, and the RG552 is definitely on my radar because it's nice and big and it's got a lovely large screen and it plays retro gaming really, really well. Whereas if you're a true gamer, I'm not really a true gamer. I'm not into, I don't buy games on Steam. I don't stream these first-person shooters and all that kind of thing. I'm not into that sort of thing. But if you are, the stacked buttons, the ergonomics, the speed of the Wi-Fi connection and all that make the RP3 Plus a perfect true gamer device. It plays retro gaming, but it can also take you to the next level and play much higher end games. And so if you are that sort of person, the RP3 Plus really is for you. But, and this is a very big but, and I really want to stress this because I think when you're buying it, you underplay this in your mind. The Retroid Pocket 3 Plus is not available now. And you're going to sit and wait for a device, especially if you're someone who doesn't have any of these devices. You're not a YouTuber who has a couple of devices sitting around. You're waiting for your first handheld console and you're waiting for the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus. It's really going to bug you. And 2 months in, you're going to thank me for making this video, whereas the RG552 is available right now. You can buy it, you'll have it in 2 weeks, you'll have it before Christmas. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. See you in the next one.